All right, we're live, Lowell. How are you?
It's a beautiful day where I am. I'm in Santa Rosa, California. I think the temperature is like 72 degrees, and I'm in a shaded area. That's not normal, so I can tell it's getting later into the season. Because when we started doing these podcasts, yeah, I'd be in the sun right now. So there goes all the daylight.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic over here in Florida. It's been amazing. Hi, Joyce. We can see you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, it's been after the hurricane, which passed right over us. Um, it's been the most beautiful days, and the highs have been like 82, 84.
Wow.
It's been so beautiful. No clouds, no chemtrails, no nothing. So it's just been blue skies and it's been amazing.
Well, the
So,
peninsula certainly deserved it. It's not like that everywhere there, and my heart goes out to the people in the areas.
oh,
I
yeah.
lived. I lived on Pine Island for 15 years, and I went through Charlie. Charlie was like a tenth of the storm
Yes.
that Ian was.
Yes.
Uh, anyway, that's for another day. But yes, all our hearts are waiting for that place to get better, and it's going to take some time.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah. And I see Kimberly's from Sarasota. My goodness. Kimberly, I hope everything's okay with you. And Lowell, so my computer's doing the thing again. Do you see it?
No,
Okay, good. Okay. As long as you guys don't see it doing that thing, I'm good. Um, so since I last talked to you, and it's been a while, a lot of things have happened, and I
in your
want,
realm or in mine or in both.
especially in yours.
Yes, yes. A
Yeah,
lot of things have happened.
yeah, definitely. Especially related to Thoth, or at least from the video that you sent me, which I saw that you put out there for everybody to see, right?
Time, yes. I had sent that out to, there was very limited distribution. That was one, it was very personal to me and it was sacred. But as you well know, the contents in there was to kind of establish authority and let you know that Toth, like he said, was coming back, and like I had been teased all along. Yeah, that he's solidly embodied, and I can tell when he has things to say. He's like, step aside, and here's the content that comes out. I have been more and more attention has come our way since Cindy and my engagements. Because Cindy, oh my God, when you listen to what goes on around her, she just draws like a moth to a flame, and so it's not hard to get people that want to listen to it. My messages are for me. I understand fully where my task is, and as late as yesterday, from Tracy, by the way, she shared and had some questions and had directed me to a woman named Maya and had seen synchronicities between Maya and what she had been producing and where my journey was taking me. She had no idea I already knew who Maya was, because much of what I learned about Thoth was a result of learning about mandaras, which was really learning about Ethereum, which is led me to a paper on an internet archive server from the 1990s, mid 1990s, that had Maya's name on it. She had channeled this stuff. Oh yeah. So yesterday, when Tracy and I had gotten to connect and talk about these similarities, that's why I had asked, tell me how you know about Maya, and then I'll tell you how I know about Maya. So she had shared what common interests got there, what she found on her website, because Maya has been connected, metaphysically, and been documenting stuff. I just got an archive from back to the 80s. So this is she has a storehouse of stuff. I think you have probably seen the document that I unfolded that had information about Ethereum. Because if you've been around it, I made sure that you got it so you could read it. It was about a 42-page PDF document, and it was from Maya long ago. So when I sent it to Tracy after we'd had this discussion, because she likes to do the same level of due diligence that I do, I sent it to her so she could see it. And she goes, well, I think I found it on her backup server because she's got access to it. And she sent me another document. Well, when I started to read through the one she sent me, it was not the same, but I was supposed to see it yesterday. There is information on how the ascension is going to take place, how the codes are coming through, what the codes really are. So what Cindy and I have been receiving from guides and downloading over the last 2 weeks, here is all the detail. Oh my God. I know exactly what our mission is now. So I will share that document with you too. I'm going to need to have a discussion with Maya about it at some point. And it'll go along these lines. You've seen some of this artwork I've been doing, right? These AI things that I've been pushing out.
No.
Oh my God.
Because remember, I've been traveling for the last 2.5 weeks, so I haven't been online at all.
Well, I have some crazy stuff that's just beautiful to show you that was divinely inspired. No doubt about it. So this program it will spawn. You put in some keywords and it'll push out 4 different ideas for you to consider. Now, you can use the same keywords over and over. You'll never get the same images again. So when you really strike on one, it's going to be unique, and you know that. Well, the first aspect was when I was trying to, I'd been on another podcast, and one of those guys is a graphic artist. And he had shown me some images when he got Telos in his mind of, he'd use this tool. And I looked through like 6 of them, and they were amazing. And then there was one that struck me and went, oh my God, that to me speaks, it's the light path to the halls of Amenti. I said, I got to have that. So he allowed me to have it. He told me the tool, which it was built. You had to have a computer with enough horsepower to run this thing. But all of a sudden, I'm learning a program I had never went to before, and started to plug in these keywords that were coming to me. So I had first, I came up with some images of Middle Earth, Inner Earth, that triggered the guys at NorCal again. They did a story on my story the year before last. And so now they pointed to, because I posted these on the website, here are images of what the guy thinks he saw when he went to Telos. So here we go again. The pictures were amazing. People were moved by Telos. And then I went back and I went, you know what? I got this thing about, I want to see what these energetic portals, if I plug in those keywords, what do I get? 81 versions later, they're just amazing, all different, unique, and I could see exactly where each one of these were. So I posted those on the website too. I've been getting people that respond to that. Anyway, one of another graphic artist who saw these and just fell in love with them, she said, you need to put your name on them. And I kind of, I let it go. And then a few days ago, again, she goes, well, I can, make a little tip so you can just put your name on there. It's really simple and it'll be easy to do. You need to take credit for it so no one else steals it. And here's my thinking. And here's how I described it to her. How can I take copyright ownership of something that was divinely inspired? Yes. If somebody's going to steal it and push it out, I can't speak to their intent and I can't stop that. But if that's another way that it's going to get distributed to trigger somebody, so be it.
Exactly. That's exactly, I agree with you 110%.
Yes.
It just, because it's like you say, people need to be triggered. If there's something that's going to be out there that's going to wake them up, it's the key to unlocking them or whatever.
Yes. Yeah, these
who
things
cares how it
they're
gets there,
crazy.
right?
Yes. There's another version of something that they're Stargate Guardians. Holy cow, I have 129 of those. I need to stay away from this tool for a while because it's like addictive. But oh my God, I'm not an artist by any stretch of the imagination in my mind. But look at what I could do, and that was inspired in some way that wasn't me. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Anyway, I told you that story to tell you this story. The content that Maya has been accumulating when I read it. And the reason I wanted to read it yesterday is this is information from Tahuti, was just another surname for Toth. These were
Oh, yes, yeah,
instructions
that's right.
that she had tucked away and documented on his behalf. Here is the blueprint of what is about to happen, and I needed to remember the blueprint. But now, if you're going to tell me that this is copyrighted, I'm going to have the same discussion I just had with you about my AI art. Because really, first of all, it's Toth, and I'm back to take the reins. I'm going to help channel with the things I said I was going to do. You have the key to that, and I want to share that with everyone. They need to understand the process. You wonderfully set it down here in print long ago, 30 years ago, almost. Yes, there's important information in there. There are pieces of it that you're not ready to hear yet when we talk about time frames and the actual shift. But there are interesting things about crystal realignment and areas called golden. I don't want to get ahead of myself because I read it today. I'm going to have to read it again. It's 41 pages long, and I poured over it, highlighted each area so that I could understand it. It's deep. But if you're in sync with what the information is there, here is about what is unfolding and how quickly it's unfolding.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So what you read from this paperwork, what comes to you right now as important to?
I will I was talking with Cindy last night as this was all unfolding because we've been exchanging. She's getting ready to go to Egypt on Wednesday. And so in preparation, there were some things that I wanted to catch up on. So while I'm reading this stuff, she always counts on me. I'm not going to send you this 41 pages and say, you should read this too. No, that's my job to glean out the stuff that you need to know because Cindy doesn't have the time to read that, but there's plenty to this. So let me find here, based on what we've been exchanging, there were 3 paragraphs that I cut and paste, so I'll read them to you, okay? The first one said, the Lazarus manifold will be impacting humanity at the cellular level to restore our stellar orientation or universal dichromate. Our beings contain trapped starlight. Once the starlight is allowed to reorient towards home, we will become liberated entirely from our fallen light spectrum. That was the first paragraph. Went on to say, the memory seeding activation will involve multiple dynamics. According to Tahuti, there once existed a sacred mountain range within what is now the San Luis Valley, the Valley of the Golden Disk. This range was linked interdimensionally to the golden star of Mazuro, future consciousness that all of the Pleiadians, Sirians, Orions, Arcturians, etc. hail from. At some distant time in the past, this range was destroyed through an interdimensional cataclysmic event. The remains of the range eroded into what now comprises a sizable quantity of sand in the Great Sand Dunes National Monument. These dunes are some of the largest on the North American continent. Each grain of this sacred sand contains a hologram, a memory seed, of the energy matrix of the entire mountain range that once existed. The last paragraph went on to say, there was a particular date where they were working on an ethereal pyramidal structure known as the Templar Mar, which will be directly channeling the rays of pure Solarian consciousness, the future third millennium or golden age consciousness. They will then resonate and be amplified through the sand crystals. We will be given specific procedures by Tahuti to resonate our DNA with these energetics, effectively producing a phase lock to this consciousness and the planetary crystalline helix. We will be working with these energies concurrent with the startup of the Lazarus manifold, as previously mentioned, which will help to excite the new stellar orientation on both a planetary and personal level. This will facilitate a very rapid progression into the new level of experience for those who participate directly. All energetics will be overseen by Tahuti and the Chariot of the Sun, which is his Merkaba group. That's a lot to take in. And yes, it took a while to just settle that in. But knowing what communication Cindy and I have been having with guides and what we've been downloading and tucking away, what it resonates with me the most and goes back to something I wrote after I had a past life regression the June before the July I went to Telos. Okay, brand new. Wrote down these things, and that I saw myself in Atlantis and I was a priest of some type. I was actually a mirror being back then, but I came in to help. When we knew that the fall was coming, we and others tucked that original human design DNA and tucked it away in our Akashic records. Also tucked it away in some crystals so that the day that we needed to restore from that, we would have it at our disposal. That is what we are beginning to download. So it's not new DNA. The process involves removing the manipulated DNA and replacing it with original design code. Back to source. Here it comes. So yes, that's what I've been up to while you've been away.
Right. So have you found out how you remove the DNA?
Yes, there's a process. If you listen to the last thing I sent you, that was my process. It's not everyone's process because I'm a carrier. I was restoring it to myself. We are going through the process, and Cindy and I both believe that we are 2 steps into a 5-step process to understand it all, and then we'll be in a position to help others. Because once we can tell you what codes you're going to receive and what it does for you, and believe me when I tell you, there's a physical sensation to it when it happens. That was what I was really trying to pay attention to. In all of these things, from ayahuasca journeys and on, I always want to have 1 foot in each realm because I want to understand the process. So that when asked, I can tell you about the process and give you a sense of, calmness. The other side is I want to take advantage of the program and see what messages it has for me. This is no different than that. So yes, it's really cool that I'm getting downloads like crazy, and it's a lot overnight. And I wake up in the middle of the night, and I usually wake up sometime between 6:30 and 7. No, not the last few days. It's like I wake up at a moment and I'm faced away from the clock, and I can start to feel downloads. And it's all these things that Toth wants to say. Oh yeah, he's got things to say about the current condition of the world and wonders about whether we ever learned any of the lessons from Atlantis. When he left, Egypt was flourishing. Look at what he did. Gave it to us, said, here, hey, we're handing off the reins, take it from here. Yeah, well, he came back for a couple reasons. And it was not really for humanity. He's here to help Gaia through her ascension. The rest of it will benefit from it all. But we are not his first truth. He would just soon point his wand in your direction, turn you into stone, is to mess with you right now. He's focused on what the planet needs. And when I was wondering, the work that Cindy does and Tracy does, and you guys are all been doing now and going in different places to heal property, now I know why you're doing that. I've had more people that when I look at them, I sense that I keep getting these forma diva, devics, druids, and oh my God, I keep seeing people that make me think that and resonate in that way. Well, now I know why. Because all of those people that have direct elemental connections are all being rallied by Toth to assist in this last push. We're not here to change anybody's minds, but those of us are refining the tools that we have, and some of you are translators and communicators. It was made clear to me during the time we were up in Shasta that the Lemurians have said out loud, it's time for humanity to understand our vibration. And so some of you are going to start to do the translation so that you can help others understand. Now, we're not helping others understand by doing the translation. I'm not a translator, but I'm going to teach you what I know about it so you can go teach others, and they can teach others. And you see how it's all going to spawn? in the same way that Cindy is now triggering people that when they were young spoke light language and they didn't know what it was. People just looked at them odd when they did it, and so they didn't do it anymore. Now they're recognizing, wait a minute, I've had that in me all this time, I just ignored it. There's a reason why that is also coming alive for the same reasons, because that's another means of communicating. And in fact, the people that understand it would rather hear that than these words. Yes, there's a vibration to it,
Right.
and a rhythm to it that's
Yes.
just natural and speaks. So that's all I want to hear. So there's no surprise that these people now have grasped onto that. And they're beginning to master this because they need to understand it quick. We need to ramp them up quickly because their job, again, is to train those people who are going to train those people.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't know why it is that these emerald tablets, right, have come up sort of like some sort of discussion that needs to be around it. I don't know if it's because we need to bring attention to it for people to go in there and really read it and understand it. And,
Yes.
you know, but that's the next thing that came to me was like, oh no, we need to really go through these emerald tablets and understand what
You do.
we're talking
And that
about.
process, absolutely. When I was mindful that we had agreed to do this, and I want people to understand what's in there, I went back to start to make crib notes. And so I got through the first one and I went paragraph by paragraph because you almost have to do that in order to glean out of it what it has. But you can't really dig into this at all until the first part of, especially Justin's, does a really good job describing who Toth was and who his influence, who his father was, who the dweller was. When you get all that in, now you can start to read book or tablet 1, and some of this will come into perspective, but still won't until you don't understand that what he's trying to describe to us is multidimensionality. All of this, the theme is about it. He's trying to describe what each level is. And when you understand how to get to the key to the higher levels, there is where the Akashic records are held. When you understand how to get there, boom, everything I've ever left for you cosmically is at your disposal. For those that want to chase this and figure out my keys, that was what he was talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So do you feel now that you have gotten these downloads that once you read this again, that you did it feel different? Did you gather more information? Did more things make sense to you?
I understand it all like the back of my hand. What it fails to tell you is that Dr. Dorial was given the authority to be able to translate these, but he did not translate them in their entirety. There's so much more that was included in the tablets that either wasn't permitted or just wasn't capable of being transcribed at the time. There's more. But we are, even in our human form, we just don't have the capacity to take that in yet. But things are changing. DNA is cracking open. We have recall. And we're going back to our original designs so that so much of what we've been waiting to access in our Akash is going to be wonderful. It's just knowledge that's just reasonable and it resonates with us all. I want to get my powers back. Hell, I want to levitate. I want to push energy. Yes, I want all those things back because we'll be able to do that. Yes.
Well, yeah. I actually have a friend that has levitated and she did not know she was doing it. She was a child care director, child care center director, and the kids, she was upset and the kids started pointing at her and freaking out. And she was like, what is happening? And later on, she found out that the kids explained she was levitating. She was actually levitating.
People are going to listen to us that haven't really been down this road, and they're going to think that we're making this up. What I am telling you is that those are capabilities you have in these dimensions that I straddle. I can't do it here because it's dense, but I float in the next dimension. Those dreams I was having about falling out of a tree and just slowly floating to the ground, that's what happens in the other dimension, where you control time and space and you manifest things the way that you wish. It's going to take a little bit of time, even for the people that know me and my family and friends, to get used to hearing these things out loud. But believe me when I tell you, all this magic is around all of us. Get your vibration up to my level and see what I see.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When you are at that different dimensional level, you do see things that other people don't see, right? Like the city that I saw in Bryce Canyon, or
colors. It's colors, really, that's outstanding. The sunrise has been just right for like the last 3 mornings to sun gaze. Have you ever done it?
at sunrise, no, but at sunset I have.
If you can do it either time, but it's best to do it when it's just above the horizon. And the few times I've gotten up to walk early in the morning, that's exactly where it was. The first day that I did it, and you really got to train your eye on it, because someone that's never done this before is going to go, I can't look at the sun. Just focus on it when it's just above the horizon. And if you look long enough, my first day, I could begin to see, the outline of the sun, and then she pulsed purple. Oh my God, it was beautiful.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
It's another way of taking in energy, in my mind, directly through your pupils and directly into your third eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Wow. I want to show people the, let's see, share screen. Here we go. Okay. And then let's do that. Okay. There you are. Okay. So the what we're talking about here are the, let's see, the Aquarian Age edition of the Emerald Tablets.
My favorite.
Okay, here we go. Of Thoth the Atlantean.
Part of that's going to be a surprise to most people, because most people that think that they know about who Thoth is, they only associate him with Egypt.
Exactly.
Oh, no. He had a whole lifetime and responsibility, and his official training came long before that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in this edition, it's written by Dr. Dorrell and translated by Dr. Dorrell, edited by Jordan David River.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is what you were saying, that the introduction shows and talks to you about Thoth and who he is, and
yes,
yes, that he was a priest king who founded a colony in ancient Egypt after the sinking of the mother country. He was the builder of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And what's interesting is, I don't know if you remember, I had told you that I did an actual tarot show on some of these questions to see if this was really true. And the card said, yes, absolutely. Yes. So yeah, he was the builder of the pyramids.
One day I'll tell you exactly how the pyramids were built, where the material came from, how it fits the way that it does. And you just got to be ready for information that's kind of beyond our capacity to understand it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So anything else that you think it's important for people to know about him before we start digging into the actual, not chapters, but what is it that they call them? Tablets. Yeah, tablets. Let's see. So for 16,000 years, he ruled the ancient race of Egypt from 50,000 BC to 36,000 BC. he did come from Atlantis. Um, and then it says, when the time came for him to leave Egypt, he erected the Great Pyramid over the entrance to the Great Halls of Amenti, placed it in his records, and appointed guards for his secrets from among the highest of his people. In later times, the descendants of these guards became the pyramid priests, by which Thoth was deified as the god of wisdom, the recorder. So I'm wondering if you could have been one of these pyramid priests.
I was Thoth back then. So let me give you a little bit about the scenario that he stepped into.
Okay.
It's important to know who the dweller is here now. So the dweller was whatever being by the Galactic Federation was put in charge of Earth. This is the dweller. This is the Lord in charge of all of it. The other 7 lords that represent dimensions 3 through 9, they report to the dweller. The dweller has, complete power and manifestation over every aspect of Earth. It's his responsibility. So all of that knowledge he had would be passed on to priests. There were 12 pyramids, 12 crystal pyramids that were exacted at the beginning. They formed the grid for the planet. And each one of them had a priest and a priestess. Thoth's father was the head priest for the very first one. And so knowledge from the dweller went down to him, trickled down to the other priests and priestesses that oversaw the other pyramids. There came a time when Thoth was recognized as he was going to succeed his father in that position. But he was going to be granted wisdom far beyond what his father had, so that he, in the long run, would be able to incarnate without having to go through the process we go through. You have to die and you start over in another incarnation. You read about Enoch, if you want to consider that's what he was called back then. Enoch could, pass from this life to the West without having to die. He didn't have to process himself that way. Thoth has that ability. He's always had that ability because he was taught it from the dweller. Apparently there were others that were brought before the dweller to be considered for this type of training and future. They did not survive. Thoth was the first one at his age that ever did. And so hermit-like, I guess you could say, he just ate up as much information as he could while he was young in preparation for the time that he would lead people. He became a great priest and king in Atlantis and was responsible for all of the wisdom that came out on behalf of the cosmos in our area. This is the guy. That's why they call him the God of wisdom. He had powers that no one else had, but he was wise enough how to use them. When you hear the story about when he finally left Atlantis and headed for the land of Chem, you knew what he was going to find there. He was going to find barbarians. And as soon as they hit the beach, the barbarians, of course, they were concerned for their lives. So they wanted to attack the Atlanteans.
Right.
What did Thoth do? He pointed his wand at a few of them and turned them into stone, and they, yes, I get it. So when they bowed before him, he said, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to help make you a great society. I have things to teach you, I have technologies to share. And that was the beginning of Egypt. He ruled it for 16,000 years, way before the pharaohs took over, because that's when mortals took it over. And he made it what it was. It was fabulous. And then he handed the reins to us. Said, I'll be back. I'm still here in the vicinity, and I'll come back when it's time for me to come back. Well, he's back now to assume and assist Gaia through this process. That's why I say he's here for her. We will all benefit from what he does for her because we're sentient life upon her. But the focus is getting her limit. Now that I know more of the details in the document I read last night, and it's a little premature for me to start to talk about that, it's sharpened, it put a pencil to all of it now. There's lots of questions I had about really what really happens during ascension. And the handbook that was passed to me a couple years ago was wonderful in outlining it. This just gives more detail. Dates, locations. There are how these areas that were defined, and I'm trying to remember the exact words, so I should have come better prepared, but we were going to talk about the tablets today.
Right.
Just see how quickly things evolve and how much I want everyone to know about what's going through the process so that you can discern for yourself whether any of this sounds like just legend or whether you're paying attention to the solar phenomenon going on and you see it as evidence of what's happening. That's how I'm going to posture for you. Do what you wish with the information because you're all sovereign beings, and in the end, you still get a choice. Even if your vibration doesn't match, which I didn't understand until I reviewed this document that apparently I wrote in the past, as told, every soul has the opportunity at the very end to choose to ascend or not.
Right.
20% of the earth has been defined as these golden, what I'll think of the term, and I apologize for continuing to say whatever this term is without being able to say completely. We'll know where those areas are. In the documents that I really want to share, so the rest of you can kind of get in the loop here quickly. Shasta was among them, Zion was among them, but parts like the entire British Isles, parts of Greenland. There are parts all over the planet that are charged with this. And they're the zones that those of us are too ready to ascend are going to be the zones that we're going to resonate to. Many of us already do to these areas. Sedona, of course, was on that as well. Egypt, pockets of Egypt. We need to know that. And that's why, I believe that all this stuff is not coincidental. It's being placed back on our path right now to prepare us. Yeah.
Well, I definitely think that right now that's kind of where we're at, where, I know I was told to stop doing and start being. So I took that as stop doing work. You need to rest, you need to chill, you need to start going within. And that has been what I have been doing. And I feel like it's because of what is happening with you, which is the knowing is coming, right? It's coming. Yes. And it's integrating, and we need time to do that. You would not be able to do that if you were still managing those hotels or whatever you were doing, right? You would not be able to do so. You have to have this time to really simmer into this space and raise your vibration enough, to get to the place where that information is.
I thought about that, and my life has been nomadic and rather, I don't want to call myself a hermit because I wasn't that. But even while I was doing my last consulting work, at the end of the day in Baton Rouge, to go home and not turn on the TV and just kind of get in the zone, that felt better than anything else. That's how I started my day out. When I came home at night, man, that was just peaceful. Now the rest of this is just white noise. And when you start to see things from a dimensional level like I have, that's all I want to do. But I'm excited for the rest of you because you're like this far away from it. If you only understood, if you'd open yourself up to what the universe really wants to show you, and right now it understands the clock is ticking. It really wants to push you, motivate you, whatever it can do. Those synchronicities that you're seeing it's the only way they can communicate with you until you can feel their vibration. Now we're beginning to realize that the people that are coming across our path, the tribe that's growing in our orbit here, are bringing different skills. Some of them speak light language. Guess what? They're going to help others while they refine the ability to teach others, because that vibration is coming from the Lemurians. They want us all to know. All of humanity needs to understand how their vibration works so they can communicate with us. The clock is ticking. The people that are oriented in other ways, like Tracy, who's doing a bunch of cool due diligence, and Cindy, who's translating in her own way, but still going out doing grid work on the planet. When I ran into Cindy in Shasta, and she said that she was planning to go to Peru, I thought that she'd planned that a couple of weeks before she saw us in Shasta. No, she got that the day that we were all sitting in the room together. She was going to Peru, and 3 days later, she was making plans to go to Peru for 33 days. She's just paying attention to where she's being called to, but everywhere she's been, things have shifted. She was in Lake Titicaca like 2 weeks after that discussion we had and had brought an Andara to seed in a spot that needed it. That's why I believe, as fairy tale-ish as this sounds, Druid and Diva, Devic influences, especially feminine energy that understands elemental, and you don't believe that they can't come out and command rain and thunder? You got something else coming. That's why I believe that they're all it's almost like a rally call. Holy cow, everybody's coming to Gaia's assistance right now because they feel there's something happening. Well, there is. And as we're getting more detail about it, my obligation is to spread the message out there, and you're on your own after that. Not here to change your minds. I'm going to make that 100% clear because I don't have time for that. There are enough of us that resonate with it that want to prepare for this and want to ascend, and they're getting it. That's who we're here to assist.
Right. Exactly. Sometimes I feel like I am putting information out and it's like hitting myself against the wall, right? Because I feel that I'm putting the message out, but it's not getting received, right? I still see, the reactions to things, and it's really interesting. It's
I
really
have this to
interesting.
offer. The fact that we record these and they're meant for future audiences, I look less at the number of people that might happen to be watching now. And even in my podcast, they've been Zoom sessions. So hell, I could fit 100 people up there. That's not what shows up yet. But I have heard that people, when I didn't record the podcasts, there were 2 weeks that I didn't because when we started, it just got so personal that we're not going to record this. That I need to respect the other sovereign beings that are in here, and we went down a path that's not meant for anybody else. So that's why we held back. But anyway, I had heard from these people, we need to do a podcast again. Then it occurred to me that our audiences are those that are going to come and listen to it later. And when it's recorded in this way, they can do it at their convenience. I can do it while I'm washing the car. I can do it while I'm going to the store. I don't have to sit down for this particular moment on the timeline to engage unless and until it's a live encounter. And really, that's what I like these to be. Whenever it's possible to engage other people and let them ask their damn questions right now, that's what I think is most beneficial.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I've moved most of really all of my work into that field of having the live chats, because I think it's important to have my finger on the pulse and then be able to help those that have questions or or sometimes they have messages that you don't think about, and they spark that one thing, and it's like, oh my God, that's right.
I'm so glad you said that, because I want to point out that every podcast I sit in, whether somebody sees me as the host or not, there's messages in there that's meant for me that somebody else has brought into this, and I would have missed had I not been there with them. There's a beautiful synchronicity to the way that the universe sends you messages while we're still trying to understand the vibration she works at. I can vibrate higher and I just feel it. But the rest of us, we still have to be treated like we're still in this third density, and we'll figure out a way to communicate it. But I sense and I feel like less and less people want to hear words. They want to hear music, and they want to see colorful symbols. And then when we start to look at hieroglyphs and that, you realize that one symbol could have 100 different meanings, depending on where it's placed and what it follows.
Right.
We didn't need words. this has just got us into trouble. It really helped us not really learn those Atlantean lessons. Yeah, we want to use duality. This is the thing that gets us in the most trouble.
Absolutely. And especially when the language has been manipulated specifically to affect the things that we do.
Yes.
For example, when you say good morning, you're saying good and morning, like somebody died, like mourning. No, I'm not mourning. It's,
Yeah.
but they've played with us and they've put this stuff out there for us to keep us in the 3D. They've created specific language
Yes.
to keep us here, so
Yes.
absolutely when we are in the light language territory, all that goes away. They cannot manipulate what we're putting out there, what the vibration that we're putting out there, the information that's coming out, that's being recognized by our soul, by our heart. It's yeah.
I've had a unique perspective as I've been going along, but I have an inherent interest in everybody else. I really want to hear about your travels. So you and I have had enough time that I appreciate your journey, and that was interesting to me. One of the things I've been asking that I don't know how many of my colleagues, if I want to see it that way, have been asking, but I'm really curious about how long people have been on their journeys, especially the ones that have crossed my path. And I tell you, Lisa, with more and more, like 95% of the people, here's a good example. There was a group of ladies who had heard about me somehow, reached out to me on one of the YouTube things that were posted, and invited me to sit in on one of theirs. Wednesday nights they get together. They were a part of a bigger group of women, but these 12 have kind of broken off. They live all over the country, but they get together once a week. They call themselves the Galaxy Girls, and they have conversations about things like I like to talk about. So they had invited me in, and one of the questions I asked them was this one. I said, I really like to know how many people and how long they've been on their journeys. I mean, once you really knew that this snapped in and you could put a finger on a timeline, what would that be? I said, for those of you that it's been within a 2 to 3 year period, would you raise your hands? Every one of them raised their hands. So these are not people that have been on the spiritual path for decades, 2 to 3 years. So there's something common about that window, some kind of trigger that I really want to put my finger on to figure out what it was. But it seems to be a common thread, not just with those women, but everyone else I've asked recently. There's
Yeah.
something about it that I'm curious to get to the bottom of it because I really want to know what happened. But again, who's been in a position like me to even think to ask the question?
Well, it's funny. I have been 8 years, and I have found a lot of people that also woke up exactly at that time, 2014.
Well,
So
there's a reason for that. If you really see what dynamics took place, that whole procession of the equinoxes and those 3 simultaneous restarts all at the same time, they started in 2012. So
2012,
that
yes.
period just after that
Mm-hmm.
was when enough of it had kind of sunk into our wherewithal. Oh, yeah, there should have been a greater shift back then. So I'm not surprised when I hear that. Those are magic numbers. If you're following along, people, here are some times that make cosmic cycling sense.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Um, and it's the journey has been absolutely just beautiful and stunning, and um, just really it's just been a beautiful journey um, of, I don't want to say good and bad, but fun and not so fun.
We still live here to understand the duality. And without that contrast, the good stuff, we don't know it's good without bad. But we're done with
Absolutely.
those lessons. We're done with them. We get it. We really want to go back to where we're all one. And that the foundation of our interactions with everybody is part of me is in you. We are all in this together. Our foundation is love and compassion and unity, and we know that. We came to this experiment to try something else to see how humanity would do. Well, we've done well enough so that we get to jump to the next stage of evolution. We haven't really been fifth dimensional beings in human form yet. So we needed to kind of square some things out of the way. Look, you manipulated our DNA, so you screwed with our humanity. Well, we saw through that, and we know that. That's why things like are happening with me. We get to go back to the original blueprint and get to where Gaia is heading, because she is cycling her consciousness. We get to go along. Thank God for her, really, because if we are still on a planet, we're still spinning, we're still stuck in third dimension density, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But things are happening here, and here's our chance to take humanity to the next level she's never been to yet, that we can still hold this human form and see if there are other things that we can explore and help the universe evolve with. That's our job. So when we come here for these lessons, we're going to learn the good and bad ones. And I thank each and every one of you on your individual journeys that I didn't have to learn your lessons. Because in the long run, I get to benefit from them from the collective. Thank you on my behalf. And you can thank me for the lousy ones I've learned for you. That's how it works. If we really appreciate our uniqueness and the gifts each one of us has, right now, that's just been like underscored for me. When I keep seeing people that have these individual gifts, and you know, we all want to think we plug into the same place. We don't. We don't. Like you see what Cindy's gift is and how unique it is. We all call on Cindy to do that. And it's not like I'm going to learn how to do astrocartography because we got Dave Wallace to do that. When we realized that we weren't meant to do the same thing as everybody else.
Right.
But when you get all of us in the same room together with our individual things, watch what we can do. That is where we're going.
Yeah, it's like the movie Eternals. Did you see that from Marvel?
I did.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what I feel like. And when you say that, I feel like that's what we all have, our different talents and things we came to do in a different way, because
Yes.
not everybody receives content the same way. You got to have people providing the same content but in different manner. Like some people will explain it more scientifically, other people are more like visual, other people, so there's got to be, you know, people that are putting the same information out there but in different ways so that everybody gets it in their way, right?
Yes. Yes. That's right. We're
Yeah.
still sovereign souls. I have hope that those people that think that this, they don't even see this as an incarnation. They don't understand that concept. They just think that we're going to die pretty soon and, you know, everyone's going to miss me. It saddens me a bit when I think about that, because you haven't lost anything, really. Even when you don't think that, you're going to go back to the angelic realm and choose your next thing. And from that perspective, you're going to go, oh yeah, I was just playing a role. I came here for an experiment that I didn't, no one told me that. And that is where it was easy to manipulate. I
Yes.
will continue to remind people to just hang on to your own sovereignty and make your own decisions and don't give your power away. Yeah. You get to form things, thoughts become things. I'm going to keep saying it, and I didn't make it up, but damn it, it's not true.
Yeah, that is what I pound on people's head over and over. That, you know, the creation of the reality from every thought and every word and every feeling and emotion, and it all comes from us. As hard as that is to understand and believe, it's all coming from us. You know,
It takes a while to kind of trust and steer the ship that way.
yeah.
And by steering the ship, I mean you let go and watch what your inner being tells you intuitively what to do. Now, when you listen to that and that's what you take action on, they want to show you magic. They want to blow you away. Use me for an example. I've seen telos. They wanted to blow me away. And I thought, okay, well, what do I do that? A year later, I'm in touch with these light beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's just um, you know, the beauty of this is, think of the world that you were in before, right? Because I was in corporate America for 30 years, right?
Mhm.
And so, you know, so were you. And so when I think of that world, doesn't it feel like you're in like almost like it's not you, like looking back,
Mhm.
like that's not, like you're such a different person right now. And let me
Yeah.
tell you, from the last time I spoke to you, I feel a shift in you. I feel, um, yeah, you're more grounded. You're
Yes.
more in your space. Um, so I already, just in the amount of time that I haven't spoken to you, I can tell a difference.
Honey, there was surrender that I needed to take place. This notion that Toth had been stuck into my head, really, when I heard it, that's a lovely notion. When I heard Kathy a couple of years ago, after my instances with Kumu and that whole thing where I was in Egypt and I removed the top of the Great Pyramid and opened the halls of Amenti, and then Kathy said during this session that she had asked, why Lowell? She saw a sarcophagus angled and someone saying, wake up. And then she said, well, why Lowell? Well, he's royalty. How do you say that out loud to anybody? How do you even take that into yourself and think that that means anything to anything? It sounds like a fairy tale. Really, it's a cute toy tale, but what does it mean? Well, it's not a fairy tale. Yes, that we can carry aspects. Toth chose me, and I
Mhm.
just had to believe it. I've been told by people all along, you just have to believe it. I go, how do you believe that? And even if I did, what do I do with it? Now I know.
Good. That is
Yeah.
good, because I the different shift.
Well, thank you for saying so. It's not me anymore. There's aspects that just kind of step in. And when I'm sure when you listen to that thing, Cindy came out as the guides and they were scolding me because immediately after she came out, and in that moment, I could feel when, those friends of mine parted, they were seeing, and that entity came forward, and just that was Toth taking residence. But when he did that, I almost think of what the rear side of a two-seater convertible is like. Toth gets in the driver's seat, but makes room for something else next to him. So when Cindy shouts out, Toth is not the only aspect you'll be carrying, I went, what the hell does that mean? No, there'll be others that will have things that they want to bring forward. And he's allowing space for that to take place. Believe me, he's taken permanent residence, but even he knows there are others that need to be expressed, and we're going to help them. So I just sit back. Some of the responses I've been given to people about questions they've asked come from a profound place that I don't know where it comes from. So I've been journaling them every day. And today I actually started another group on Facebook that were answers from Toth, Cosmic Wisdom. So post them there, because what I've been journaling, oh my God, people need to hear what Toth's responding with. This is not Lowell answering. The one for this girl today was just beautiful, because I basically, she was describing how she's beginning to feel vibration and what a difference it makes. And when she hears a song or a spot in a movie, it just triggers her in a way where she goes down this, I don't want to call it a rabbit hole, but she wants to know more about what that feeling is. And she said, I feel like I know what I'm supposed to be doing here. She said that they were without words. All of these experiences were triggering her were not words. And she said, I just feel like I should be doing it faster. Can you help me? I said, well, first of all, I want you to go back and read what you just wrote to me. And I want you to do that as an observer. See, do it as objectively as you can, because you just described the way that you like to hear communication. And there wasn't any words in there at all. You said you like vibration, you like color, you like sound. Oh my God, you get it. So you are probably going to be one of those people that are going to learn how to interpret those vibrations for us. And by way of doing that, you're going to teach these people who are going to teach those people. And can you see your role in all this now? So here's an area that you're going to master. You're already sensitive to it. And really, you don't need any direction from me because you're refining the process as you go through it, just like this. Well, that was awesome. Everyone needs to hear that. I don't know that Lowell would have maintained that perspective. So here is that kind of wisdom that I don't know where it came from, but other people should be inspired by. Because even when I went back and read it, I'm inspired by it.
That's beautiful. And what's coming to me is that you're going to be the bringer, because people are going to be coming to you because of your story. You are going to be this, like the center, right?
I'm the connector.
Yeah.
I'm a connector.
Yeah.
That's
so you're going to be
one of my roles. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a recorder and I'm a connector. And I love to do that. I'm not, even when I was in corporate world before, I wasn't any of those bosses that had to be the smartest guy in the room. And you know why? Because from time to time, even my housekeeping supervisors, they saw something that none of the rest of us saw, and definitely had an impact on a decision we should have made. Thank you very much. The whole team looks great that way. It wasn't that I didn't figure it out. I didn't need to figure it out. Again, look at what one person on the team contributed that made all the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Didn't have to be me.
Right. Absolutely. You just have to, it's so funny.
Allow.
Yeah, absolutely. I was always big on being a servant leader. When I was managing call centers, the different call centers and people, I was a servant leader. I was always, what do you guys think we can be doing better? I'm not the expert. I've never been on the phone, like I don't, you guys are the experts. You bring in, and that's exactly what you're going to be doing is bringing in all these people you're like that are going to come to you with their story or come to you with whatever, and you're going to be like, okay, I need, this person needs to talk to that person and that person, and it's going to be just a
it is exactly what you're talking about is unfolding. And really, it started to take root when we were all together in Shasta this year, because that's really, it takes more root when you're face to face with these people.
Yes.
That's a different kind of connection, that when everyone gets to see each other's light, holy cow, family, here we are.
Yeah.
So you take that experience, add it to your own, and off you go. And again, now you're going to affect somebody else. Who's going to affect somebody else? We need that. We need that for the rest of us that are going to get through this in the amount of time remaining.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. That's going to be so much fun. And unfortunately, today we didn't get to talk much about the tablet.
Well, I maintain it's really important, but the way that I think we're going to need to go about it, it's going to take an hour or so really to do each tablet justice.
Exactly.
And understand it in a way that every paragraph, so you understand what role the dweller plays when he's referred to, and you understand who Totmi was when you're referred to, and you understand who the 7 lords are. If you get that fundamental information, you're going to unlock what's meant for you out of this stuff too, and it's meant for all of you.
Yeah, it's exactly. And I agree with you. That was my thought, was that when I would read each chapter, I'd be like, okay, wait, I got to read this paragraph again and really understand what this means. And so I had written down, like, for each one, like, okay,
every paragraph had some notes.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think we need to do it chapter by chapter.
There needs to be one place we do this, and I think it should be on your depository. And so I'm not going to repeat this somewhere else, because this is going to be a process, and I want to do it right. That's why I went through the tablets painstakingly. I've been finding some other material to help people really understand Atlantis and really understand Lemuria and really understand dimensionality. And this lecturer, Manly P. Hall, that did it for 70 years and passed away like 1990, his material is amazing. So I've
Really?
been listening to them and just, it's like recall. So as I've been doing those, I've been making my crib notes. I put that on a blog and just point you to go listen to this, follow the crib notes, and it'll tell you the themes you're going to listen to. It's amazing stuff. It opened my eyes a lot about Atlantis and the transition in between Atlantis and Egypt. So you really want to find out more about the background of this time that we're talking about, that Thoth's involved in, from where Atlantis sunk. He took who was left, moved them to Egypt. Really, they spawned into 10 different directions. Atlantis was no city and it was no island. It was
Exactly.
12 colonies in different land masses than we know now. So you really can't
Hmm.
look at the globe and go, yeah, it was there, there, there. And even if you put it, you're kind of in the Atlantic Ocean, those bodies weren't like that. So I wouldn't pay that much attention to the details, but just be open to where we think things were in the world. And there was probably a pole shift involved in there too. Stop worrying about that and just get yourself more aligned electromagnetically to these spaces on the grid where you vibrate the most. You'll be drawn to those energetic portals. Now we can really put some form and some description to the things that were more nebulous ideas we had before we really could put a finger on them. That's what you and I and people like us are trying to do, that to make it easier for people to understand it. I
Yes.
can't use the same language that a lot of my colleagues have been using for 20 years because they've gone so off road. No one knows what they're talking about. And as big as their hearts are to help people understand, you've lost us. So it's more mindful for the rest of us. And I think that must be a gift that I have. Someone say I was a storyteller. So I need to really understand that the physicality of things we're going through. That's really important to me, because we're all trying to use this human vessel. And with its limited understanding, I'm going to do what I can to help your brain put into perspective things that don't fit in your brain. But you'll recognize some physical changes that are happening during all this cycling too, because I've been paying attention to it and I can report some consistencies. But that didn't come before, you live through these things for a couple of years. And when solar storms come by and you notice changes in your physical, dots are connecting. We'll all get there, but there needs to be a depository. And that was part of the discussion that had taken place when we knew all this was going to come wrong. Even Cindy said, yeah, we got these people working over there and they need to be connected here. And those people, we all need to be connected in the middle so that the resource is all the same, that we're all working for the same page. And that's so when I started listening to Manly P. Hall's stuff, I thought, okay, let's start with Atlantis, because this one really resonates with me. Let's just use this as a common frame of reference and we'll start from here. Read it, and then we'll have these discussions so that we reach the same levels of understanding. And there will be other archivists that are going to pop out of nowhere. They're going to be able to fill in even more detail about Atlantis because they have those visions. Thanks.
Hmm.
Bring that to the table. We all want to know it. These places were not legends. They were just never really recorded in our history. No one focused on it. And really, when other interests were trying to keep our attention on other things, it was convenient to just tuck all that in and not really let us know who we really were. That time's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I thank you so much for being here today, Lowell. This has gone by so fast. And
I know. Well, I feel like I got on a rant, but man, so much of this, honey, has happened in the last few days
yeah.
that it needs to get out there.
Well, I can't wait to read it. I can't wait to read this document you're talking about.
I got to get in touch with Maya. But again, my posture is that the things that she's channeling on his behalf, I'm taking back his words. I need to put them to work and I need to put them out there. I've asked you to kind of be a depository of them. And thank you for doing that. And she did a wonderful job. But these words are meant for everyone, not just someone who sits that they have copyright rights to them, because it's divine information we all need to have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you
Awesome.
for inviting me. we need to see each other in person. I'm not quite sure when we're going to do that again, but soon.
Well, you're coming to Orlando.
Yes, I'm looking
That's where
forward
I
to it
live.
now. It's getting really exciting. I'm going to be there a little bit before and after too. So there's an
Okay.
opportunity. We should hook up.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah, we'll see each other around October 22nd then.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, for sure. So everybody, thank you so much for being here. Everybody who watches this, thank you for being here also and watching this. I hope you've enjoyed this and come on the journey of really discovering and understanding a little bit better what the Emerald tablets are all about. And bring your questions. I think that's going to be important, you know, not just us, but also the questions that hopefully that our audience can bring to us. So that would be fantastic. Hope to see you guys soon. And Lowell, stay on so we can set up a schedule to see when we can chat again online.
Will do.
Live.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.